Hi,
Hi, welcome back to Here for the Company. I'm Gloria.
and I'm Karin.
And before we start, how was your week?
My week was good. It's just been a lot. We've had a lot of soccer games. I've just decided I'm in a stage of life where I'm not going to be able to work out like I want to every day.
Yeah, that's hard.
The extent of my workout is going to be getting my steps in at the soccer fields again, which was in the fall. Now we're that in the spring.
And you know what? Whatever you can do,
Yeah,
that's what you can do.
walk on the roof at work, and then I come home and I walk on the soccer field.
There you go. And you work at a desk, right?
I do.
Yeah. Well, my ADHD has caused me to not remember what I was talking about.
How was your week?
My week was good. I've had days where I've been like, "Ugh, I just don't want to do today. But today I woke up, I felt great. I was very excited to sit down and record with you, and I made bread. So,
There you go. If you guys don't know this because we didn't record this part of it, but it's taken us 35 minutes to even figure out how to get our shit moving. So we are.
it's
Um,
so bad.
yeah, Sean and I are going to go see my favorite comedian tonight. So he bought these tickets for me for Christmas or for my birthday. I don't remember. Um, but yeah, he's in a town nearby. So we're gonna go. So
Who are you going to go see?
his name is Jeffa Curry.
Never heard of him.
He's so funny.
I'll have to check him out. Well, that's awesome. I hope you have the best time.
Thanks. And then we have the ball tomorrow, which my dress probably won't get here.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. Are you going to have to wear a different dress?
Luckily, I have a few backups because I've bought dresses in bulk. Yeah, I have some backup. Luckily, because we went to a gala in December or something, so I bought like 4 dresses just in case. But I was really excited for this one. I always wear black, so this one's blue.
Yeah,
And
very, very, very pretty dress.
thank you. I'm pretty sure it's still in China. I didn't know it was coming from China, to be honest. I paid expedited shipping.
Oh my gosh. Hopefully the tracking's wrong and it'll get here tomorrow morning. That would be great.
But we did get Sean's suit from
I
the suit
saw
shop.
that.
It came so amazing. The pants were unhemmed, so I'm gonna hem them later. And then everything fit perfectly. And my husband is tall.
Hmm.
So we have walked into suit shops in the past and had to drop a lot of money just for jackets for him. And then the pants, they never fit right. So the
They're like
pants,
ankle high pants.
yes, he's so freaking tall. So
Yeah.
I can sew on my own, but I ordered hem tape because I don't have a sewing machine currently. I hand sew everything that I do. So I wanted to make sure I got something that we could undo if I messed it up.
Yeah,
And
that's
then,
smart.
yeah. And then it's only for one night, and in the future we'll hem them and he can wear the suit forever. But actually, it was funny because he told his coworker yesterday, he was like, "Hey, I got a suit from this website and it came great, came in a bag and everything." And his coworker said, "Well, I still don't have one, and I think today's too late." He walked into Men's Warehouse, spent $500. We paid for 2 day shipping. I think we paid like 220 with expedited shipping. And it arrived in 2 days in that nice box.
Yeah.
And no, it's perfect. I will forever now tell all the guys that work for him because there's a lot that they need to order from them. So if you guys want to sponsor us, that would be great.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. So buy suit shop.
Shall we get into it?
Yeah.
All right. Today, we're going to be talking about the Murdaugh murders. We
Mhm.
all know it's a very viral case, but even if you feel like you've heard everything, maybe you haven't. Maybe you'll find out something new.
Yeah, because Gloria and I, we watched the case by ourselves in different ways. So
Hmm.
you've consumed every documentary there is to consume.
Yeah.
I watched every second of trial the first time, and then this past week, I tried to again. I didn't get to every second, but I did watch a lot of the key witnesses I knew were important.
And I can imagine that trial is a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you want to start or?
Yeah. So basically, the first thing I want to say is it's mentioned that there is 5 bodies in 6 years that are connected to this family. It's
Mhm.
wild. The Murdaugh family is a wealthy family, live in Beaufort, or they did live in Beaufort, South Carolina. They hold a lot of power in the community. They ran the biggest law firm in the town. They've been around for a long time, generations, starting with Paul's. Paul is Alec Murdaugh's son.
Mhm.
But his great-great-grandfather is the one that started the law firm, and then so on and so forth. Everybody took over the law firm.
Yeah. So can I add some to this?
Of course.
Okay. So the family lived in the area, and the first grandfather became a lawyer in 1910. And
Which
in
is crazy.
insane. So in 1920, he became the solicitor for the 14th Circuit, which is over, I believe, 3 to 5 counties in that area. But the solicitor is the equivalent to like a district attorney. So like the area prosecutor.
Okay.
So the first guy became solicitor in 1920, and until 100 years later, they were all the solicitors generation by generation. So I believe it's like 3 generations, but it's nearly 100 years, except for, I will say, the original Randolph Murdaugh was removed at one point and arrested for crimes of bootlegging.
Bootlegging? Like, were you still movies?
No. What is it? Where you brew alcohol?
I wasn't aware there were different forms of bootlegging.
Is that what it is? Now I'm confused.
I thought bootlegging was like you went to the movie theater and you filmed the movie and then you like made DVDs.
They weren't doing that back then. I think it's called, who cares?
True.
He was brewing alcohol, and so he was actually forced to step down. And I think it was only like a 5-year period where someone in the family was not in the solicitor's office. But I did find that interesting that crime goes all the way back.
I know. And it's like, how are we allowed to have one family in this much, like this high of power for so long? It doesn't make sense to me.
And one of the craziest things that came out in trial was there was a time where Alex had a light bar on his car. Like he would drive to scenes.
Oh, like a police light.
Like a police light bar.
Oh, wow.
He would pull people over. He would drive to scenes. The sheriff's office installed it on his car for him.
It's like if you have enough money, you can basically do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Everyone in this area knew that they were a family that was not to be messed with. Everyone knew they swept things under the rug. People said that they were the law and they ran everything, even being above the law at times, or so they thought. So they talk about how, the Murdaugh family, they really like to drink. The parents, the kids, everybody. Paul had a nickname for when he was drunk. It was said that they called him Timmy because when he was drunk, literally quoted that Paul was gone. No longer there. He was not. Yeah.
His eyes looked different.
Yeah. Creepy. And Anthony said that his eyes, when he was drunk, he describes it as if Paul could see right through you. Creepy.
So weird. Why people would, like, if I had a friend that drank like that, I wouldn't want to be around them. I don't like to be around people anyways.
I don't like to be around drunk people, to be quite honest. But that goes into childhood shit.
Yeah. I wouldn't hang out with you.
Oh, yeah. I feel the same way.
Even in high school. Had this happened in high school, like, because we're talking about kids, right? Had I had a friend in high school that was always that drunk and looked right through me, no.
No, thank you. We're not friends, bro.
No, I'm steady.
I agree. His family, however, looked the other way when it came to drinking. It was said that a lot of people felt that admitting that he had a problem would be admitting that the family wasn't perfect to the public eye.
The one thing that I find very interesting is everyone knew they drank. And I'm going to leave that. Like, everyone knew this family's vice was alcohol. They were around them all the time, all the parties. They hosted the parties. Everyone knew.
The kids were allowed to drink. Everybody was allowed to drink.
So Buster's the older brother. Buster got a second driver's license so that Paul could use his first one to buy alcohol.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah. So Maggie is the mom.
Yes. Alec Murdaugh is the dad. And they have 2 sons, Buster and Paul Murdaugh.
And Buster is the oldest one. I will say, so Alec, his name is Alex, is how it is. I know.
I hate it.
You know what I think? I think he made a transition from Alex to Alec, because he would even calls it like Alec. It's not like Alec. It's Alec. I think he did that to distinguish how people knew him.
Because
do
Alex
you
is
know
so
me
common?
as Alex as a kid and a non-professional and we're not that close? Or do you know me as Alec?
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Because even in watching the trial, you can tell the kids that were friends with Paul that would get on there and call him Alec or Big Red. but then the kids that would get up there and call him Alex.
Interesting.
And even if he didn't mean for it to be that way, I do think it later distinguished him and how
Right.
people knew him. Yeah.
Before we head into anything else, I feel like you need to know who Paul's friends are. Paul's friends, who he hung out with, and who this next story is all about: Mallory, Anthony, Morgan, who was Paul's girlfriend, and Miley. Anthony and Connor were cousins, and Mallory, Morgan, and Miley were best friends.
Best
Connor,
friends.
yeah, like they all were best friends. Connor and Miley were dating. Mallory and Anthony were dating, and Paul and Morgan were dating. The girls being best friends, they are the ones that brought the group together. And it was said, I was watching Eric Allen, and he says that Anthony didn't really like Paul.
I found that very interesting because
I
Anthony
did, yeah.
had clearly been around him for a very long time in life.
Yeah.
Well, I also read that or heard that if Mallory had not been friends with who is his girlfriend, Morgan, that she also would not have hung around him.
Yeah, like they don't like him.
No. Which, like, we talked about this in our first episode about Karen Reed, right? Like, you know when you're the person that people don't want around.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Notice, he bought the alcohol. He supplied the boat. That type of person, don't be friends with them. They are seriously out here supplying everything, thinking you're going to be my friend for life when they have nothing else to offer you.
Exactly. And he really didn't have anything else. A good time, some properties.
Everything in this episode is alleged.
Yeah.
We are not lawyers or anything else. We are just people. I will say, because some of this gets into my like niche of loving it, I do have my master's degree in forensic accounting. So there's a lot of this case that I'm obsessed with. But okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Paul. I want to talk about his character because, you know, we kind of have to understand why he is the way he is and understand his upbringing, because I truly believe that your upbringing is what makes you who you are and explains why you do the things you do. What I thought was interesting is that Paul's nanny, Gloria Satterfield, was said to have been his like second mom.
Raised him.
And yeah, and a lot of people said that she took care of him even better than his own mom. And then, which she comes up in
one of the crimes.
Yeah, later too. And then we also know that Paul's brother, Buster, he was like going to college and he was, you know, following in his dad's footsteps, going to be a lawyer. And Paul wasn't really interested. He was like, nah, no thanks. I believe Paul was in college though.
He was. He was also working for his uncle. And I don't even know if he wasn't interested. He was having a good time.
Yeah, he was young.
He had no responsibilities.
None. I think that happens a lot when you grow up wealthy.
Yeah.
Must be nice. I cannot remember who said this. I think it was in the documentary. They mentioned that it almost seemed like Paul felt like he was a disappointment because he was different.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he behaved like he did.
Maybe. Yeah. I just think, honestly, it's a big part of not having to do anything else.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily think that he would have wound up being a absolutely downright terrible human. But I don't think he was given the chance. But a big part of that is because nothing was expected of him ever, which is wild. Because I will say, I was not wealthy. But I grew up in a family in our town that everyone knew. Like, we were in the paper all the time and more stuff happened in life that everyone knew us. And I was expected to do a lot.
Yeah.
And my dad would always say, like, if the church finds out that you do X, Y, and Z and you do X, Y, and Z, I could lose my job. So I was always like, I have to be on my best behavior at all times.
Had to have felt like a lot of pressure too.
Yeah. It's funny too, because in Ohio, I don't think my dad felt that pressure. So my siblings didn't receive that pressure. But in like LA, it was like, don't fuck up.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Maybe because it was a small town and everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
All right, back to the podcast.
Oh, yeah, we work here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so he started getting in trouble, drinking a lot. They even talk about an accident that him and Morgan, his girlfriend, got in his truck. He was drunk and rolled this truck with his girlfriend in the car. And she This is in the Netflix documentary. If you don't know, there's a Netflix documentary about it. And she states that there were several guns that had fallen out of the truck and were just sprawled all around the ground, and just beer cans everywhere. And she wanted to call 911, and Paul would not let her. He was like, nope.
Calling
Instead
grandpa.
called mommy, daddy, and his grandpa, who he had called timeless amount of times when he was in trouble, because he knew that they could get him out of anything. So this is, he's a wealthy, entitled kid, thinks he can get away with everything. And to me, that makes for a very dangerous person to be around, because they are not thinking about consequences, because they have none and they know it.
None. And he has access to substances.
Oh, yeah. And crazy amount of money, I'm sure.
And all the guns.
And that's another thing. Why? I just feel like they're too young. They're still at a point where they do dumb shit.
It's weird.
And I get that they used it for like hunting and they were like really into that.
Yeah. And it always comes back to, for me, because guns are something I was introduced to really young. And even today, though, I have rules. If you're drinking and you go get a gun, bye.
Yeah, no.
Like, drinking and alcohol should not mix ever.
No.
Sean has guns and we have all the safes, and he cleans them. There's never ammo in them. There's never ammo even around. Like, if he has a gun out because he's going to go shooting the next morning, the ammo is not even accessible. Somebody could come in our house, find that gun, and not be able to use it because the ammo isn't there.
As it should be.
Correct. So that's always something we've done separate. Even when we move our guns, we put the guns in one car and the ammo in another. Like, it's never together at any point.
Yeah.
And yeah, everything stays in the safes. I will say, their Moselle property, there is a gun room. It's the living room, let's be real. And they keep them, I believe, like when they pulled them from the house, they were all loaded. That just like boggles my mind. I do also believe that not a lot of, I don't know. I was going to say not a lot of kids went there, but I also heard there were parties held there. So I don't know. It's so strange.
I highly doubt there was not kids there.
Correct.
All right, let's talk about the boat accident. So this starts February 23rd, 2019. Paul goes to a gas station to fill up, and Paul uses his brother's ID that we already talked about to buy alcohol. He gets what he needs. And I'm not sure if like there was somebody in the truck with him, because when he walks out, there's camera footage of this, and when he walks out, he kind of like raises the alcohol, like, I got it.
Yeah, I think his friends were in the truck.
Well, because then it says they met at one of the Murdaugh estates at a dock.
Gotcha.
So I'm wondering if his girlfriend was with him, and they were meeting everybody else at the dock.
Yeah. Do you know why they chose to take the boat that night?
No.
He had been tipped off that there were going to be DUI checkpoints on the roads. So they knew they wanted to go and consume alcohol. So he thought, boat. I will also mention your guy that you sent me.
Yeah, Eric Allen.
Eric Allen did say that these waterways, it's important to remember that these waterways would fluctuate 10 to 15 feet in a matter of hours.
Yeah. So he also said that like even the most skilled boater, you even in the daytime, you still have to be very careful.
Yeah. He did say that they were dangerous in the daytime. It's important to not drive like this at night. Also, it is illegal to operate any motor vehicle,
even a bicycle,
when you consume alcohol. Yeah.
You will get arrested.
You should get arrested.
Yeah, true.
Because let's be real.
They leave at 7 p.m. They were invited to an oyster party. I guess that's a thing. And so they leave for that at 7 p.m. They end up staying at the party and drinking for about 4 hours or so. By the time they leave, it's dark. And they've been drinking an awful lot already. Anthony says in the Netflix doc that he suggested getting an Uber to take them all home because he knew that they were all drunk. And we're not real sure what exactly the conversation was because they ended up taking the boat anyway. They left the party around midnight. So now we're going into February 24th. And that's when this actual incident happens. On their way home, Paul ends up stopping at a bar called Luther's, which is crazy to me because I'm like, this boy is 19 years old and he stops at a bar
And this
and
was
gets
not an unusual thing. This was
his
he was like,
norm.
yeah, I know these people. Let's go.
Yeah. So him and Connor get out. Nobody else wants to stop. They're like, we want to go home. Him and Connor get out. They go into the bar. Everybody else stays, I believe, at the dock or like over by the dock because nobody else has their IDs. I'm guessing all these kids have fake IDs.
Yeah. Or they're underage in general and they're like, this is dumb. We don't want to drink more.
True. It is stated that by the time they leave the bar, Anthony says that Paul is, quote, out of his mind drunk. And I can only imagine that Connor is not far behind. He drank at the party and he's drinking. I'm sure he probably drank as much as Paul did at the bar. I'm sure they were going shot for shot, you know.
This entire situation could not be me.
Me either.
I ain't got enough energy. I will say, in my Texas college days, I did walk into some bars and get some shots. But I couldn't drink for 4 hours first. Okay, keep going.
Okay, several of the teens on the boat mentioned that they begged Paul to let somebody else drive because they knew how drunk he was.
Okay.
He insisted, no, this is my boat. I'll be driving. So at this point, Paul will not let anyone drive. The boat ends up crashing at the left of this Asher's Creek Bridge. And then it accelerates and crashes again on the right of the bridge. And I believe it was like completely on land at this point.
It did hit the shore.
This is what I thought was really interesting. And there's like a theory that I want to talk about who was driving the boat after this. But keep in mind, even Anthony in the docuseries will say that when the boat hit on the left, him and Paul got knocked out of the boat. So Connor, Miley, and Morgan were still on the boat because Mallory was sitting in Anthony's lap and also got knocked out of the boat. But what I thought was interesting was that Paul was out of the boat.
I will say, if you look at the images of the boat and you look at where Connor ends up fracturing his jaw. And if you look at what he fractured his jaw on and what cut his jaw, it was on the right side of the boat. Okay. And the steering wheel was on the left. And Paul ended up on the left side out of the boat.
Okay.
So I will say, I don't think if they had been switched and Connor had been on this side and Paul had been on this side that they would have gone like that.
Right.
I think they would have hit or something.
And what's crazy is that we probably will never know.
Correct. I will say, it's unusual that everyone would be like, let me drive. And Paul's like, no. And then all of a sudden, right before it crashes, like, here.
Yeah, that's true.
I do know Eric Allen's theory of the crime was that Connor was driving and Paul was not driving, but that they all said it was Paul because they knew Paul wouldn't get in trouble. And he covered that before Paul was ever indicted.
Okay.
So I believe where that theory falls apart is Paul got indicted.
Right. I did want to mention that unfortunately, Mallory was nowhere to be found, and she did unfortunately lose her life. They also did not find her body until about a week later. So it's very sad.
Day 6 or 7, they were like, she's wearing an Apple Watch. Somebody freaking ping her.
Wait, can they do that even if it's like days later?
Yeah. You can ping a last known location.
Gotcha.
And supposedly that's how they stumbled upon her. But there's a lot of weirdness. I recommend everyone go watch the documentary because I really think if the Murdaughs were able to control how the body was found and when it was found, we would have never known about it.
Oh, yeah. True. It also took responders 40 minutes to get to the scene because there was so much confusion about which bridge they were located at. And you'll hear in the 911 call how confused everybody is about what bridge these kids are at.
And I will say it's dark and there are two bridges not far away from each other. The kids were probably like, Can you imagine having to call 911 after you've hit a bridge and you can't find your girlfriend? And
No.
you probably have a concussion, let's be honest. And
Yeah.
all you're trying to say is, like, get here and help us.
I believe Connor made the 911 call, though.
Yeah.
Anthony said it took him 15 minutes to fight for his life to swim out of that water.
Yeah. You can hear in the 911 call, everyone screaming. Like, everyone is still in the accident.
Yeah.
And Connor did call despite having a fractured jaw. So if he sounds like he's talking funny or anything, his jaw is broken. Okay. So I'll start that now. Okay. And I'm just going to stop it there. I stopped where she's like, "Are you at the docks?" Y'all, I don't know how many times this kid has to say, "I was in a boat crash in a creek."
I know. And the 911 caller or the 911 dispatcher, she's like, "Did you just say a boat?"
We're not
No
talking
shit.
about Southern California, okay? We're not talking about Lake LA where the lake is literally dry. We're talking about the Carolinas. There's water freaking everywhere.
Yeah.
This town is made up of like 100 islands.
Mm-hmm.
The Murdaughs own some of them, but Murdaughs, sorry. But anyways, it's a boat.
Their name confuses the hell out of me because the way it's spelled is not the way it's supposed to be pronounced.
Correct. They do say Murdaugh, though.
I know.
And Mandy
But I
Matney
think it's
says
Murdaugh.
in Germany or Europe, probably.
Yeah.
Good old American Southern boys. We got the Murdaughs.
After the 911 call happens, Paul was never given or offered a breathalyzer test. I feel like that's important. And it was also 2 months before Paul was ever charged with anything, and he never spent any time in jail. Even at the time of his death, which was 2 years later, never spent a night in jail at all for this.
I will say, I think the only reason he was later indicted was because when they took these kids to the hospital, Paul was acting so abnormal. The nurse took his blood without anybody knowing.
No way.
Yes. And when the parents started to arrive for the other kids, supposedly the nurses went around to each parent and said, "I'm not supposed to say this, but he's drunk off his ass. Keep your kids away from him."
There were some people connected to the Murdaugh family that were at the scene of the boat crash, which I thought was really interesting and are said to be the reason that Paul seemed to be getting special treatment. These people include Jason Malfrus, I think is his name, who was being represented by Alex Murdaugh at the time of the accident. So there's some stuff that's like, it's just a little suspicious.
Yeah, there's one whole section of their police force because you have like the sheriffs and the deputies or whatever. I don't know what the correlation is, but in this area, there is a police force that is directly connected to this. They're called the solicitors deputies or something.
Yeah.
So a lot of those people are also involved in a lot of these crimes. They're not supposed to be, but they do wind up investigating them.
Yes. Another one was Jack Keener. He was represented by someone, not Alec, but someone at the Murdaugh law offices in 2015, winning a $2.5 million settlement. This guy's rich. And then Officer Stephen Domino, who was the one who reported that it was Paul that was driving, he was the one that was talking to Anthony at the scene of the crime or at the scene of the accident. He was later fired from the police department for alleged drug use. So I don't know if they mentioned that to like maybe make it seem like maybe he wasn't all there that night. I don't know.
I mean, we heard the interviews. You can clearly hear Anthony saying, "Do you know who that kid is?" And they're like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
He's a Murdaugh. He's going to get away with this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other part where I think the whole Connor driving falls apart for me because in that moment, Anthony only believed one person had been driving that boat. And years later in the documentary, he only believes one person is responsible. And people say, had Paul not had the boat, she'd be alive tonight.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Ultimately, he was responsible for that.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I do believe, and I would not put it past Alec Murdaugh to be like, you need to say so-and-so was driving. That's why they didn't want Alex Murdaugh to talk to any of the kids because they already knew.
Yeah. Not Mallory. Morgan had to request the hospital not let Alec Murdaugh in her room. He was going room to room to discuss with the kids about who was supposedly driving.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, I guess we should mention that Mallory's cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head.
So they said she probably hit her head on the pylon when she was thrown out
Uh-huh.
and was unconscious and then drowned.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah,
It's so sad.
it really is.
Yeah. I can only imagine how
That
those
was in
parents feel.
20, I know. That was in 2019. Okay, so I have with Stephen Smith, this is the first person that becomes a suspicious death connected to them in their orbit.
Yes.
Stephen Smith died in 2015. He was found dead in the middle of the road. It was believed at first to be a hit and run, which is what was kind of presented, but the cops will tell you no, he was not
Mm-hmm.
hit. He was beat to death.
Yeah.
So, no real road rash, no vehicle debris, nothing was there to indicate a hit and run. He had been beaten in the head. The coroner, though, did note that the death didn't look like a hit and run, but still ruled it a hit and run, which to me is like, why do that?
Yep. When I was watching stuff about Stephen Smith, one of the people said that it looked like he got hit in the head with something.
Yes. The police
Not
said
a car, though.
no, like a bat.
Yeah.
That's what it was believed to be, was a baseball bat.
So his death right now is ruled as a hit and run.
No, his death now is ruled undetermined and is opened for investigation because of evidence found in the death of Paul.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So, like I said, Stephen Smith was the first victim that like raises red flags. But honestly, though, it didn't really raise red flags. So,
No.
rumors were going around Stephen Smith was gay, and several people came forward to say, we think he had a relationship with Buster. In police interviews, in dash cam and body cam footage, Buster's name is named more than 40 times over the span of 20 different interviews.
Wow.
His name is never in the notes.
What?
No officer ever wrote his name down.
Of course. He's a Murdaugh. Why would they?
No, it's wild. But yes, so his name is dropped by several different people over a period of time. I will tell you, no closure has ever truly been given to his case. He is just another dead 19-year-old, and there's a lot of silence. There was an article published at one point that did everything but call the Murdaughs out and say he was having a secret relationship with a prominent family. And so then people started to talk, but for the most part, nothing has ever come of that. I will tell you, Mandy Matney has done a beautiful job of staying in relationship with that family and covers them on the Murdaugh family podcast. I think it's changed though, and it's now called, shoot, I'll have to look it up, but Sunlight or Daylight or something.
Eric Allen, he did a video where he did like 4 different theories of who might have killed him. The video was very good and very well put together.
Yeah.
There was also a anonymous tip that came in from, I think it was a sheriff at the time. His stepdad was now dating this kid's mom, not Sam Smith, but a kid named Patrick. And Patrick told him about an incident where a guy named Sean was driving and he was drunk and hit somebody.
I did hear that, but it was a hit and run.
Right. But at the end of the video, he was saying, like, the only thing I can think of, because there was 2 days in between the anonymous call about Buster being involved and the anonymous call about Sean being involved. There was 2 days in between those calls. So he was thinking that either the call about Buster was either like a distraction for the call about Sean, or the call about Sean was a distraction for Buster.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's crazy because there's so much that is unknown. And it sucks because he deserves, just like Mallory, to have justice.
Yeah.
And these families deserve to have closure.
And even if it's not the Murdaughs, or even if it is the Murdaughs, like regardless, they deserve to have closure. And
right.
As we get further into these cases, the only thing I can think is, one, I never believe that the conspiracy is as deep as it seems, because people just aren't that smart. But two, I don't believe you can be tied to this many coincidences.
Right.
And it all still just be happening to you.
Right.
Next, we've got Gloria Satterfield. Gloria, my lovely co-host here, has already mentioned her. She
Yes.
raised the Murdaugh boys. She was the housekeeper, nanny, babysitter for the Murdaughs for 20 years. In 2018, she supposedly fell on the Murdaugh's front stop. Paul and Maggie found her. And I do want to play this 911 call for you because I want everyone to hear she raised this boy. And raised him or not, Maggie had worked with this woman ran her households for 20 years. And I've heard some they're just frustrated over 911 not coming and taking too long or the dispatcher asking silly questions. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. This 911 call is the strangest thing to me because if anyone in my life that I knew remotely well got hurt this way, no. So I do think we should play.
Also, I feel like they were super calm. Nobody was screaming.
There's also things in the 911 call that just do not make sense.
What's going on out there? I'm sorry? What's going on out there? My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up. Okay, you said she's fallen. She's bleeding from the head? Yes. Okay. How old is she? I'm not sure, 58 maybe. Do you know if she fell from standing or not? No. No. Where'd she fall from? She fell going up the steps, up the brick steps. Okay, so she outside or inside? Outside. Okay. How many steps is there? 8. Okay, is she on the ground or is she up near the top? She's on the ground. She's on the ground. Is she conscious? No, not really. Is she awake at all? Yes. Okay. Is she just not responding appropriately, but she is awake? Man, she's not responding. Okay, I've already got them on the way. Me asking questions does not slow them down, ma'am. Knowing if she's conscious is one of the things that the medic needs to know if she's responding at all to you. No. Okay, so she's not responsive at all. Well, she's mumbling. Okay, so she is somewhat conscious. Is she breathing okay? Yes. Is she bleeding from anywhere? Yes, her head. Okay, are you guys able to control the bleeding? No. Can you put a clean rag or anything on it? Yeah, I got it. Okay, is she bleeding from her face, the back of the head? I've got an ambulance coming. Sir, my name what? Where exactly is she bleeding from on her head? I'm not sure. At the top of her head. Okay.
No. No.
What happened? She just fell back down. Can I get off this phone so I can go down there? Can I have your name and phone number? Are you able to bring the phone down by her? What? Are you on a cell phone where you can walk down there and talk? Cell phone. No. Okay, can you bring it with you so we can ask her some questions about what kind of pain she's having?
Hello?
Yeah, can you ask the patient what kind of pain she's having?
Ma'am, she can't talk.
Okay, do you know...
She's cracked her head and there's blood on the concrete and she's bleeding out of her left ear.
Okay, she's bleeding out of her ear?
And out of her head. She's cracked her skull.
Okay. All right, the other lady said that she had tried to stand up and fell down again?
No, I was holding her up. And
okay.
She told me to turn her loose and she was trying to use her arm, but then she fell back over.
Okay, do you guys know who she is?
Yes, she works for us.
Okay, do you know if she's ever had a stroke or anything before?
Ma'am, can you stop asking her these questions?
I already have them on the way. Me asking questions does not slow them down in any way. These are relevant questions that I have to ask for the ambulance. One of my questions is, has she ever had a stroke?
I don't believe she's ever had a stroke now that I know that.
Okay, is she able to talk to you guys at all, or is she unconscious now?
She's not unconscious. She's just mumbling.
Okay.
I believe she's maybe hit her head and maybe has a concussion or something.
Okay.
Maybe.
Do you know what her name is?
Gloria Satterfield.
You said Sanderfield?
Ma'am?
You said Sanderfield?
Satterfield.
Satterfield. Okay, what's the house look like out there?
It's offset off the road.
Okay.
It's a big house, got a wide driveway.
With a long driveway?
Yeah,
Is there a gate or anything down there that they're going to need to come through?
There's two big brick columns they'll have to come through.
Okay, but there's no, like, gate code or anything that they need?
No, ma'am. And tell them that they can look for a fellow on a 6x6 Ranger.
Okay.
Waiting on them in the road is green. You know what they probably know what the Ranger looks like.
Yeah. You said, like,
Fella's
green.
got on a black sweater,
Okay.
a hat, and pants.
Okay. All right. If something changes with her, if she loses consciousness or anything like that.
My biggest things were, I believe Maggie, the 911 dispatcher, says, "Who is this?" And she goes, "She works for me.
Mm-hmm.
This woman is on my property." The other thing is him saying she sat up and spoke to me, but then fell back down.
Yeah.
I believe it's been proven that could not have happened. It just, to me, one, she worked for you. Can we not?
She's literally worked for you for I think he said like over 20 years.
Yes. 2 decades.
That's crazy. I saw somebody comment that was like on the 911 call. I believe it said like she's been working you for over 25 years and you don't know how old she is, I think.
You don't know if she's ever had a stroke? She ever
Yeah.
take a week off? She ever be in the hospital? You guys didn't visit her?
Yeah.
And the thing that always got me was during the trial when her kids would testify, Emily D. Baker would say she didn't raise her own children because she raised yours.
Sad.
Like her kids said she worked for them all the time. And it's just so sad to see that this is what happened. So following the death, by the way, on the 911 call, I think you never hear a dog.
No.
And dogs are not mentioned ever.
But it was said that she tripped over a dog, right?
Not on the 911 call.
No. But that's the statement they gave.
So I believe the first thing that happened was Alex went to the sons, and said, "Hey, if we say your mom tripped on the dogs, you can sue me, and that can be your payout."
To Gloria's kids.
Yes, which is 100%. Yes, they could have done that without Alex leading the way.
Yeah.
But what Alex didn't tell them was that his best friend was their lawyer. So he said, "Here's a lawyer guy that I know." No, he was Alex's best friend.
Yeah.
When all was said and done, he didn't contest the suit. He agreed to it. So his insurance gladly paid out over $4 million. So this is where I will say law is confusing. And when you get a $4 million settlement, the $4 million is released to the law firm.
Mm-hmm.
And the law firm puts it in a trust, so it's protected. Then of that $4 million, first the lawyers take all their fees, what they earned in commission. Then they take a percentage off the top for admin stuff. Now, I will say the PP&D was taking about 7.5% as their fee. That's what the CFO said on the stand during court, was that they kept 7.5%.
Right.
And that was what they kept in the business all year. And then the rest is what would go to the sons. So the sons should have received, I believe it was $2.7 million. And in that, I believe if this had been done correctly, Alec would have put it into an account, a trust for them, where it would have earned interest and paid them out an annuity account. He would have put it in an account like that because it puts all the money into tax-free, first of all. So the money comes out tax-free, goes into this account, earns interest, and then you only get taxed on what is given to you over time. But the entire lump sum is in there earning money. So that allows for the $2.7 million to become several million down the road.
Okay.
They did not know this money existed. No.
They didn't know that they got the settlement?
Nope. They found out because an article was published in the local paper stating that Alec's friend had won this settlement for her family, for Gloria Satterfield's family.
Wow.
So in that aftermath, the sons obtained a new lawyer who filed suit against Alec. Their mom died in 2018. So this is 2019, 2020.
Right.
This is where I start following the case. I was in the middle of my degree, my master's for forensic accounting, and this was like one of the things we were following was, hey, the people are getting forensic accountants involved, and how would you solve this case? And so this is where I start, and Emily D. Baker is covering it.
Okay.
She's like, this shady ass lawyer, what we don't do is steal from our clients.
Literally.
So this is happening. Money has disappeared. The sons do not know. In 2018, Mallory dies 2019.
Yes.
So where that becomes important in relationship to these financial crimes is, here's where Alex starts to unravel. The boat case, the lawyer in the boat case is filing suit, and it seems criminal, right? But it's not. It's civil. The family, they're suing Alec's estate. Alec and him are friends enough. They work in the same area. So they're out at a party one night, like a work party. Okay. We got professional people here. And he says, Alec, dude, just settle with me. Like, let's talk settlement. And Alec said, I can't. I'm broke. And this man goes, nah, bro. You work for the #1 law firm in the state, in the country. Like, you're an ambulance chase. You're not broke. He goes, I practice in the same field. I see this man settle $4 million cases, $8 million, $27 million cases. And so I will say I did study a bit, and this is where I'm going to get deep. The way Alec's law firm works is every lawyer is independent how they work, but the law firm it's its own corporation. So everyone is an employee of the corporation. So what they do is they try their cases, and say Alec has this pot of cases and everyone else has their pot of cases. All that money gets written to the law firm.
Okay.
And when they are hired, they are promised this salary. They sign an agreement saying, here's your salary, win us a bunch of cases, and you get a big ass bonus at the end of the year. And we're not talking like $30,000. We're talking like millions of dollars. Yeah. So this is where the 7.5% comes back in. So each lawyer just gets their salary the whole year. At the end of the year, to prevent paying taxes, the law firm looks at what it has left, takes 7% off the top of that, and leaves that in the business, in the corporation, because all of that, and why you only want the 7.5% is that 7.5% is what they're going to get taxed on going into the next year. So when they file their taxes, so smart though, because it could be, say they have $150 million. They're taking 7.5%. That's all we're going to get taxed on. All of this, we're going to break it up and give it to all y'all in bonuses and not get taxed on it. Now, where that comes down to it is these lawyers are responsible for their own taxes. So they don't have taxes taken out of their check. They have to keep it in a lump sum and pay it back at the end. They get taxed on whatever they get. But the law firm saves money in that. So anyways, that is where this starts to really unravel. Because in the boat case, the lawyer now has been told Alec is broke. And he's like, I don't know, bro. So he files a motion to compel, which the compel is he files it to compel US Bank to release a list of accounts with Alec's name on them. All accounts, which shouldn't be a problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Except for if the annuity that your law firm uses is called Forge, and you open an account at US Bank called Forge to hide money in that nobody notices for decades.
Wow.
But your name is on it. So in this boat case now, he's being told, you have money. We're going to find it. He's going to petition US Bank to release those records. That hearing was scheduled for June 10th of 2021.
Wow.
That lawyer was going to have Alec in court on June 10th, 2021 to hear that he wanted US Bank. And he knew this. It was a motion. It was filed. It was filed in the courts. The courts had it. Alec was able to read it. Alec's a lawyer. He knows what's coming down the pike.
Wow. I did not know that.
So that is what is at this point. So say June 6th. That is what's in his head, is my Forge account is going to be uncovered.
Damn.
So June 6th, Alec texts Maggie and says, my dad's not doing well. Tomorrow, will you come to Moselle and have dinner with me and then go visit my dad and mom with me.
Mm-hmm.
With me.
Right.
So she tells everyone she sees all day on the 7th, I got to go have dinner with my husband tonight that I've already decided I'm going to divorce.
I was going to say, we should probably mention they are separated.
They are separated. She is living at another estate that they own. It's on the beach. It's gorgeous. And yeah, so she tells everyone all day, I got to go have lunch with my husband or dinner with my husband, and then I'm going to go visit his parents. And Paul was also living across town doing some work somewhere, but they kept dove fields, which is they would plant sunflower seeds, sunflowers would grow, and then doves would come and they would hunt the doves.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So Alec calls him that day on the 6th and says, you need to come here tomorrow to Moselle and help me replant the sunflowers because they're dead. So June 7th, Alec wakes up. He goes into work. I won't get into the nitty gritty of who found what check, and how they all wound up with it. But basically, the CFO calls Alec into her office and says, I know the money isn't where you say it is.
Mm-hmm.
And Alec gets a phone call. And this is just sheer luck at this point. Gets a phone call. His dad's in the hospital. He's like, I gotta go. And she's like, cool. We'll revisit a different time.
Right.
At this point, nobody thinks Alec is stealing money. People think he is moving money because of the boat accident.
So that he doesn't have to
Correct.
pay out anybody.
Yeah, they think U.S. Bank has been asked for records. He's moving it.
Right.
So Alec leaves to go to the hospital because that's where his dad is.
Mm-hmm.
The CFO later gets a phone call and she answers it, and it's Alec, and he says some question about his retirement. And she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm in my office doing X, Y, and Z. And she's like, the frig?
I thought you were at the hospital seeing your daddy.
Mm-hmm. And so she notes that that was so strange for her because he was still in the office reworking finances. Alec leaves for the day. He goes home. What we don't know, but later we'll know, is Alec changes clothes.
I was watching the freaking Eric Allen video on that. I had never seen that before.
I don't think I've watched the Eric Allen video on it.
He had all of the information in the Snapchat video of him.
That's wild. The Snapchat, I will say, they held that so I'll kind of get into that, but they held it so close to the vest and we didn't know about it.
Probably good.
Even Alec didn't know it existed. So there's one Snapchat video that he found out about in interrogations before he was ever arrested or indicted. They're like,
okay,
you said you were wearing this. We know you're lying. And he's like, how do you know I'm lying? And they were like, look at this video. And he's like, shit.
Who took the Snapchat video?
Paul was taking them. So Alec didn't realize the ins and outs of Snapchat. He didn't know you could have like a story that you were constantly like adding things to.
Right.
So he didn't know about all of that.
County 911, where's your emergency?
This is Alec Murdaugh at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police to answer immediately. My wife and child have been shot badly.
Okay, you said 4147 Moselle Road in Allison?
Sir?
You said 4147 Moselle Road in Allison?
Yes, sir. 4147 Moselle Road.
Stay on the line with me, okay? Yes, sir. Stay on the line with me, okay?
Conner County Communications.
Carlton, I have an Alex Murdaugh on the line, caller from 4147 Moselle Road. He's advising that his wife and child was shot.
Okay, and sir, give me the address again.
It's 4147 Moselle Road. I've been up to it now. It's bad.
Okay. Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
Are they in a vehicle?
No, ma'am. They're on the ground out at my kennel.
Okay, and did you see anyone? Okay, is he breathing at all?
No, nobody.
Is she? Okay, do you see anything? Do you see anyone in the area?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
What color is your house on the outside? What color is your house on the outside?
It's white. You can't see it from the road.
Okay, is it a house or a mobile home?
It's a house.
Okay, and what is your name?
My name is Alex Murdaugh.
Okay, and did you hear anything, or did you come home and find them?
No, man, I've been gone. I just came back.
Okay, and was anyone else supposed to be at your house?
No, ma'am. Please hurry.
We're getting somebody out there to you. Okay, what is her name?
Maggie and Paul.
Maggie is her name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And please hurry.
We're getting somebody out there to you. Me asking you these questions don't slow them down, okay? And you sure they're not breathing? Is he moving at all, your son? I know you said that she was shot, but what about your son?
They're not, neither one of them's moving.
What is your telephone number? And does anything look out of place?
Ma'am, not particularly, really, no, ma'am.
Okay.
Are they close, ma'am?
Yeah, they've been en route with you ever since you've got on the phone with me. I have multiple people coming out there to you. Okay. I don't want you to touch them at all, okay? I don't know if you've already touched them, but I don't want you to touch them just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
I'd already touched them trying to get to see if they were breathing.
Okay. Well, I just don't want you to move anything just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
Ma'am, I'm going to call. I need to call some of my family.
Okay.
On this.
Well, do me a favor for me. Whenever you see the officer or the medics, because they're all coming to you.
Absolutely.
Okay. But we have them come in, turn on the flashes on your vehicle so they can see you, okay? You got the flashes on for me?
I do.
Okay. All right. Just whenever you see them.
Okay.
How old is your son?
22.
Okay. All right. We're getting them out there to you, okay?
And I will answer if you call.
All right.
When the first responder arrives, he greets Alec, and Alec says, I have a shotgun in my car. Officer says, cool. Can you get that for me? Or maybe he even went and got it. He got it. This officer did such a good job of what are the different scenarios? What can I think happened? So the first thing is, did Paul shoot his mom and then himself? No. Maggie is surrounded by what we call 300 blackout rounds from a rifle of sorts.
Yeah.
So Maggie is surrounded by 300 blackouts. Paul was clearly shot with a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
So the officer then thinks, okay, did he shoot mom with that gun and then himself with the shotgun? And dad doesn't want us to know.
Yeah.
So took the gun and cleaned it. So they turn Paul over. They're looking for guns. They're looking for everything on Paul. They can't find anything. So he's like, that couldn't have happened. He didn't commit suicide. Also, the way Paul was shot, it couldn't have been him. So this officer is playing through this, and he's doing it audibly on the body cam for everyone to hear. He's like, all right, let's talk this through. Like, let's look at what this could be. And then he's like, were there two people? Did someone shoot Maggie and him at the same time? And then he goes, he had this gun when I got here. What if he shot Maggie?
Did he say that out loud?
He said all this. He goes, what if he shot Maggie with Paul's gun because Paul had it out here and then shot Paul, or shot Paul first and then Maggie, and either way cleaned the gun.
Right.
So ultimately, he doesn't decide on anything, right? And at this point, they're not even completely sure that they're the family's guns.
Mm-hmm.
He goes back to the house, Mazel. So you have to drive between where these people are at the dog kennels and the house. You have to drive. So he drove.
Huge property.
So he drives to the house. He thinks he's done. He's secured all the weapons that he can find. The 300 blackout is nowhere to find, nowhere to be seen. So he's secured all the weapons. He turns his body cam off. He steps right outside the back door of Mazel and realizes there are 300 blackout bullets, casings everywhere. He goes, nope. turns his ass right back around, turns his body cam on and goes, we need to collect these things out here. So important to note is those casings found outside that door were shot by Paul and his best friend about a month before the murder to, it's called sighting in, but to calibrate the rifle, a scope of sorts.
Okay.
Those casings match the casings that were found around Maggie's body.
Wow.
And there's some like argument over whether or not you can absolutely match them. But the most important thing is the firing elements. So the same trigger like clamp that hit the casings that were right outside the door is the same trigger element that hit the casings around Maggie's body. And that's important because that means he was shot with family guns and family ammo. Then we go to the shotgun. The shotgun that Alec had when the police officer arrived had two different types of ammo in it, and they were the wrong size. So that's important because he couldn't have shot that gun if he wanted to.
Yeah.
They were the wrong size of the gun, but he had one buckshot and one turkey shot in his gun when the police took it.
Okay.
Which would make you think like, oh, he loaded it in a hurry and he was in shock.
Yeah.
Until they look at all the guns in the house. And that was actually common for them. The family often, with the right caliber, would load one buckshot, one turkey. Like they didn't care what they were loading into the gun. They just shot that. Which
that's weird.
You start to hear when people are like, okay, you went hog hunting. What would you do with the hog? Leave it. So that's food. That's food. That's when you know you're rich.
So that's so sad. They just wasted it.
So hogs, they're an invasive species. So they do like mess up crops and mess up swamp and stuff like that.
So it's okay to kill them?
It's okay to kill them. They did say, the friend did say that sometimes they would find someone who wanted to butcher it. But I
mean, at the least, could you just do that every time?
He said they didn't. Sometimes they would just
give
leave
it to people for free.
Yeah, it shocks me. Well, and butchering is so expensive. I think that's the deal is you still have to pay for it when you take it to someone to butcher it, but
that's true. Unless you know how to butcher it yourself.
Yes. Okay. Paul was shot at close range. I do believe Paul was shot first and then Maggie because there's evidence that Maggie was running.
Oh, how sad. I understand people that want to shoot their significant others. You're not related to them. Okay. But to shoot your own kid.
Well, and to set the scene for this, I had been following this case from the Satterfields.
Okay.
Then the boat case happened.
Yeah.
My dad and I would literally talk about this. I'd be like, did you see what's his name's son got in a boat accident and killed a girl? Look, they're going to court. He's getting indicted. Is he going to get charged? Like all this stuff, right? So this is all unfolding
while
I'm watching.
Yeah.
If you go to Emily D. Baker's channel, she has two playlists. She has Alex Murdaugh's crimes, and then she has the Murdaugh case, like the Murdaugh murders, because she was already covering the financial crimes. Yeah. So let me walk you through Alex's timeline because I also don't have this in my notes, but I know it. Okay. So Alec, again, we're going to go back to he invited Maggie and Paul out that evening. The plan was to have dinner together. They did. How we know he changed after work is Paul posted a Snapchat story, and in that story, Alec is wearing different clothing. And they are driving around the farm having a good time.
Better than it was, ain't it? Better than it was, ain't it?
And they all come back. They have dinner. After dinner, Alec claims he laid on the couch and took a nap. So according to Alec, he took a nap. He took a nap for 45 minutes to an hour, he says, which that is not a nap, bitch. That is a cat nap. My naps are 5 hours long. Anyways.
I have not had a nap like that in so long.
If I even sit down to nap, Sean goes, no. Because I'll just be out for the rest. I will nap till 6 p.m. and then get up at 8 and go to bed. He's like, stop.
I love it.
He naps for 45 minutes to an hour, wakes up, calls Maggie. She doesn't answer. This is like, by the way, this is like 9 o'clock at night. Calls her. She doesn't answer. He just goes, nah, I'll just go visit my family without her. I'm sorry. Didn't you invite her over? Like the whole reason Maggie is there is to go with you to see your flippin' mom. So he leaves. He goes to see his mom. Now, remember, all of this is according to Alec back then. We'll get to what he says now, but he leaves, goes sees his mom. When he gets there, the nurse is like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm just visiting my mom." And she's like, "Okay." He sits there for like 20 minutes and then he's like, "All right, deuces," leaves. But when he leaves, she's like, "This is so unusual. He never comes at night." She
Yeah.
watches him and he parks back in the back of the property and phone data puts him there for a few minutes. He
Yeah.
claims his phone had like fallen and he stopped to get it, but we don't believe that's what happened. We believe he was hiding the guns.
Yeah.
So this happens, this weird 20-minute visit with his mom. He goes back and then he finds his wife and son. And that's when he calls 911, according to Alec. 20 days, 21, 22 days into trial, Alec has had several interrogations. He's been interrogated by these damn cops 100 times. Has always stuck with, I took a nap and then I went to my mom's. 23rd day of trial, Alec, so 20th day of trial, they introduce a Snapchat that they didn't even know existed. So when their Snapchat expert
Damn.
testified,
I love that they had a Snapchat expert that
you
is a
have
thing
to.
that exists.
So in order to, and it's not an expert, he's like the guy that testifies in court if they need to bring Snapchat data.
That's crazy. Okay.
If you're going to introduce my text messages, you have to lay the groundwork or lay the foundation. You have to bring to the stand the person who takes my phone. Then you have to bring to the stand the person who unloads my phone onto a computer. Then
Okay.
you have to bring to the stand the person who went through the data. Then you have to bring to the stand the person who works for AT&T or whoever my carrier is saying that they received a search warrant and that the data they had was also added to that. Like you have to say
Good
how you got all
Lord.
that in order for a cop to get up and testify that they have it.
Wow. That's
Yes.
a lot of people.
That's why trial is so overwhelming.
And so freaking long.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. So yes, he got up there. He hardly testified.
Wow.
This Snapchat.
Is this the one where they only hear his voice on the Snapchat?
So the first one is played by the friend and it's the dogs because he claims he was never out there.
Mm.
And even in all the interrogations following, he did see this video even in an interrogation. And he still claimed he was never out there.
Yeah. I've only seen the one with the dogs and you can like slightly hear his voice, but you know it's him. It sounds exactly like him.
Get back. Get back. Quit, Cash. Come. Quit. It's okay. Come here. It's not that bad. Come here, Cash. Shit. Come here. Post it. Cash.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth.
Hey, Bubba.
It's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit.
Come here, Bubba.
And yeah, I think he was just recording for shits and giggles. But so that came to be like the 20th day of trial. So 23rd day of trial, Alex took the stand and said, I lied.
Of course.
I was at the kennels, but I did leave and come back. So like he still claims he was never there for the murder.
Is he stating still to this day that he's innocent?
Mhm.
Wow. What boggles my mind is that Buster still says that he's innocent and thinks his dad is innocent. I'm like, how?
So that was the next thing, right? Everyone in the town is finding out that Paul and Maggie were murdered viciously. Like Paul's brain matter was on the ceiling of the shed. Like it was so sad.
Wow.
So sad. Okay, so side tangent / theory. Alec gets there, he calls 911. While he's on the phone with 911, he says, I need to go. I need to call my brother. 911 dispatcher just lets this man off the phone. Do you know why they want people to stay on the
heard
phone?
That. He was like, oh, I have to go. I have to call my family right now. And she was like, okay, sir.
Call me back if anything changes. What's going to change? You know what I think? And Lord help everybody. What if one of them was still alive?
And he wanted to finish the job?
Yes. And I'm not saying that did happen. I'm just saying
Yeah.
she let him off the
Theoretically.
phone and what happened if, and it all could have been solved, or, you know, like trajectory and all that stuff matters and all that came out at trial, but like, what if for some weird reason somebody had made it?
Yeah.
Because it is weird that he had a gun. Maybe he didn't drive all the way back to the house to get that gun and come back. By the way, murder weapons have never been found. Even though there were family weapons, family ammo, never been found.
Still to this day.
Still to
There's
this day.
no murder weapons?
No. So what we believe happened, because nobody was arrested, nobody was detained. In fact, everyone came over that night / morning. By the
Like his
morning, family, lawyers, everyone is there by the morning. And it should be mentioned, this is where we should mention Alex, lawyer, who was also Paul's lawyer in the boat case, is a U.S. senator.
Wow.
Who was an acting U.S. senator, but took time away to come fight these cases for them.
How is that even allowed?
Yeah, Harpootlian is a wild human. And you cannot convince me he doesn't
Covering
know
up,
something.
helping. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he also has a checkered past. He used to be the largest owner, allegedly, of illegal gambling machines in North Carolina, I believe.
Oh, really?
Like, I don't know. North Carolina has weird rules with gambling and what can be in a store and what can't be. And this man used to own all the ones that could be or couldn't be. I can't remember which one, but supposedly.
The South is wild.
Allegedly. Oh, yeah.
The South is wild.
Well, and that's like, so the forensic accountant, by the way, accountants don't make very much. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But I have to wonder, this woman was probably not making very much. She uncovered all of this, right? And then she had to walk into the office of a man who she wrote millions of dollars of checks for and say, where's the money? And he was like, I don't know. Anyways, the money is a whole nother, we could do a whole episode on how the money is just gone.
Are they thinking that he killed Paul and Maggie so that he didn't have to go to the June 10th thing and have everything come out?
With Paul dying, the June 10th hearing was no longer
right
immediately.
So that is literally caused.
I think it was all unraveling so quickly he didn't know what to do. Yeah. But I do wonder if even all that was going to come out in the boat case, if work was not also discovering forged checks, if he would have not killed. Like, I still wonder if he wasn't sure he was going to kill them.
Yeah. He was convicted, right?
He was. And I remember when this happened, I like texted my dad and I was like, did you see what happened now? And my dad immediately was like, I cannot fathom a dad feeling like this is the way out.
Yeah. Killing your own kid and your ex-wife, soon to be ex-wife.
So the next thing that happens is Alec pulls over one day, supposedly. Nobody believes this is what happened, but this is what he says. For a flat tire, and someone magically that he knows pulls over beside him and shoots him in the head.
But he doesn't die. Wasn't it just a graze?
Yeah, barely. He was fine.
Yeah.
Turns out he hired that man to kill him. Weirdest thing about this man and Alec, there is $175,000 worth of checks written from Alec to this man over a period of like 3 years leading up to this moment.
Weird.
He then checks into rehab.
The cousin.
No, Alec.
Alec?
Remember how we said he drank a lot? This is not for alcohol.
Yeah.
He claims he's addicted to Oxy, and he claims he was buying drugs.
What?
So I watched a breakdown of how much oxycodone this would have bought Alec.
Right.
114 years worth of Oxy if he was really addicted and used it every flippin' day the way he said. I went to Reddit, as one does. I wanted to just read you some of what these people said because I've been around addicts in my life, and allegedly, my opinion only, Alec does not use Oxy.
Yeah. Isn't it wild at the time of the deaths and stuff what he looked like, and then throughout trial?
He lost so much weight in jail.
He looked like a different person, dude.
You know what else he does? So the way jail works is everything is under your number, you know?
Yep.
Your commissary, your phone number, everything. He would trade commissary. So she would put money on those people's commissary and he would use their phone to talk on the phone so that it wasn't recorded.
And who the hell was he calling?
He was trying to pay Buster's way back into school.
Oh my God. Buster's like, bro, I'm done with this family. How sad for Buster.
Here's the thing. Alec from day one claimed drugs made me do it. Well, he's not even saying drugs made him do it. He's saying drugs made him steal money. Nothing made him commit the murder, right? Drugs made him steal money. He didn't commit this murder.
Wow.
But nobody says they ever saw him doing drugs.
Right. And you would think that it would affect his work life.
So, pause also. That money did not get spent on drugs. If you guys didn't know this, after he murdered his wife and son, he went to the Bahamas.
Yeah. What? So do they think he went there to like retrieve the money?
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do when you're not in the US. So it makes it easier for them to not be able to track how you transferred that money. It just all went so quickly and no one knows where the money is. And we know he didn't spend this millions and millions of dollars on Oxy. There's just no way. So here is where Reddit comes in for me because I was like, I cannot be the only one thinking this man is a bullshitter. It says, I am very familiar with opioids and have a past history of addiction. I think Alex Murdaugh is lying, namely the extent and the severity. So say he is an addict. It isn't just to do with the quantities he claimed. It has to do with his inability to provide any detail regarding dosing, schedule, when he took it, who he got it from. Also, there's no way you can conceal 2,000 milligrams of oxycodone per day from people. They may not know that you're on drugs, but they will notice your alertness change. There would be record of you, 1, obtaining these drugs, 2, having sought treatment. 2,000 milligrams of oxycodone orally a day is the equivalent of milligrams of morphine. 3,000 milligrams of morphine is equivalent to 500 milligrams of heroin.
What?
He could not.
Yeah, and we all know that you can't just be on heroin.
This guy says a strong dose of heroin for a non-tolerant user is 12.5 milligrams.
Wow.
And if you are used to using 50 milligrams, and let's just remember, he would have been the equivalent of 500 milligrams. You did not admit the truth until you were confronted with the truth.
Right.
And that is why I just will never believe a single thing this man says.
Yeah. He's clearly lying. This case it's crazy. It's a lot.
It's so
and
much.
There's so many strings that are just every which way and they're tangled and you just.
And there's a lot of nuances in it that you don't know about. And like you have to be involved in that little part to know about. So like the judge who oversaw this case, his son was murdered months before court started.
Really?
So in the sentencing phase, this judge says, this is devastating for me. Your grandfather's portrait is currently hanging in the back of my courtroom.
Oh, wow.
They ran this town. And that's what's so sad about all of it is he had everything. He had all the power he could ever want, all the money he could ever want. I don't believe he had the addiction he claims brought him to do this.
Right.
And he started stealing.
Yeah. And it's like, why? Why are you doing that? There's no need for it.
He was lying to everybody. And even in the heart of all of it, his law firm did not realize what was happening. The murder was in June, and September they called him in. They didn't know how much he had stolen.
Yeah.
But they had to pay several million of their own dollars from nobody got bonuses that year, let's be honest. It just makes me so sad because this shouldn't happen. One, these are vulnerable people, the people he's helping every day in his position as a lawyer that handles injury claims. They're already hurting people.
Yeah.
And I think like Gloria Satterfield, I truly believe she might have died on accident. I truly believe she might have had a stroke. And I think him suing himself actually.
I mean, it was the right thing if they actually got the money.
Give your freaking housekeeper a life insurance policy.
Yeah.
Buy her one so that if she, for some godforsaken reason, dies, her kids get something because she worked for you for so long.
And at that point, she's like family. I wanted to say before I forget, Hector, my brother, he said that he was listening to our podcast and he was like, I don't think this is Gloria. Like, I don't hear her. And he said it was not until I laughed that he was like, oh my God, it is her.
We can leave this in so people kind of get a vision, but y'all, editing a podcast is so different than you ever anticipate because
it's a lot.
And we talk at the same time a lot. And all I think is, but can they hear us? Like, do they decipher if we both have our voices in at the same time?
Yeah.
Is it too much? So then, yeah, we play a lot of mute her, mute me, mute her, mute.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. It's a lot. Anyway.
And also, I do have a tendency to interrupt people. So,
Oh, same. I mean, ADHD, welcome to the table.
it's so annoying because I feel like if I don't tell my thought right then and there, it's going to be gone.
We are driving in the car last night.
My whole family we all have conversations where we're having like 19 conversations at the same time. And our poor significant others.
Yes.
Like me and my sister talk about it all the time. We're like, we'll be saying something and then like we're already on another topic.
Mm-hmm.
And then our husbands will like answer from the previous discussion we were having. And we're like,
what are you talking
about? What are you talking about? And then you're crazy because we don't know what you're talking about because we're past that.
I will say being diagnosed with ADHD and learning that that is something I do has been life-changing. And it is funny because I notice it now. So when it's happening in a dinner area and it's not something that I'm like overly passionate about and don't want to be like interrupting in.
Yeah.
I stay quiet and I like make eye contact with Sean because I know Sean's having a hard time not being like, shut the f up, everybody. And it is funny because since being diagnosed and like having all that and having the awareness that that is happening,
right?
Sean's like, it all makes so much sense when we're at a table with all of your family.
I don't have any more to say about this case. I think it's just a case that
this case was
so shitty.
So shitty and so hard because nobody needed to die. Gloria Satterfield could have lived if it was not an accident. Her kids could have just had the money. Second of all,
Mallory definitely didn't have
Mallory did not have to die. I will say, if you are a kid or an adult and you are with people and they're making choices and you're like, I could just call an Uber, call the Uber.
Call the Uber, especially if you have that thought.
Yes. If it even crosses your mind, call the Uber.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. It's not worth anybody's life.
Mm-mm.
And then,
oops,
with Paul and Maggie, Alec, you could have just maybe let your kid and wife live.
Be man enough to take the consequences and live with them.
Take your money and move to Europe.
Leave. Also, I still believe that Stephen Smith's death could be solved.
It could be. It would take someone coming forward.
Yeah, there has to be somebody that knows something. I feel like the money should have been taken. You don't deserve it.
You can't take money you can't find.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed this story from our perspectives.
And Lord, forgive us for the things we said about anybody.
Yes. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes.
This is episode 6, I believe.
Yes. Follow us on Instagram at Here for the Company Pod. You can always email us as well. I do check those. We also do check the Instagram. We may not be the best at posting, but we are busy people.
Yeah. Also, it's very weird for me to be talking to my phone sometimes.
Same. So, yes, please follow us. We're glad you came for the case
and for the chaos.
And that you stayed for the company.
Yeah.
We like it here. Also, we said this in our last video, so I'm going to say it again. If you're following us, please comment, review us. Y'all are awesome.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be fancy.
We just want to know you guys are really out there. That someone's really listening.
Yeah, seriously.
But either way, we do it for fun.
Yeah, and it's been the best time.